Hey YouTube, Kevin Cleary here with a knife video for you. This is going to be my first impressions on this knife, the RealSteel Megalodon. Now this is a redesign of an earlier model, and I'm not going to go into great detail on the changes. I'll save that for the full review. Rather, in this video, I'm just going to give you kind of a quick overview and first impressions on the knife, which is rather impressive. Now, before we get into just this knife, let me pull in a couple of other blades for you. First of all, this is a very, very new knife from RealSteel. This is the G3 Puko, and I will do a first impressions video on this knife itself in the not too distant future. Look forward in the next, week for sure. Hopefully the next couple days. And since we're looking at this Megalodon, let's also look at this one. This is the G10 stainless steel version with 14C28N steel. I'll bring that one back in a second and go over it, just like we're going to do with the Thai version. Okay, so full flat ground blade in M390, which is awesome, really great steel. The grind on this is quite thin, as you can see by that very small secondary bevel, and I will say the grind lines on this are quite nice. I don't know if they're quite as nice as the S571 that I had, but they are very attractive. Flipping action is phenomenal. Now I'm not sure again whether this is on the rod or pencil bearings rather than ball bearings, but I will check on that and have that for you in the full review. I will say this, it feels very much like the S571, which was on the rod bearings. So that's really nice. So great blade there. Moving down into the handle, of course it is a titanium frame lock. Let me show you that it is quite heavily milled out. And so what we're sitting here looking at this, let's give you the specs. 8 3/4 inches overall, 3 7/8, actually almost 15/16 on the blade length, and 4 7/8 on the handle. Very, very lightweight at about 4.3 ounces. Okay, so now we've talked about the blade a little bit. We started talking about the handle before I wanted to give you those specs. Really, really nice sort of edges here milled around to add to the comfort level on this. Let me also point out, look how minimalist this is. There's not a lot of bannering, there's not a lot of overstated advertising on this, and I really, really like that. It does say RealSteel here on the clip, but it's sort of an understated logo, as is the little logo up here. So I gotta say, I really, really like the level of class demonstrated by not splashing RealSteel all over this, because it is a really good knife, and it would be very good advertising to say that. Let me now point out something that's really cool. Look at that lock bar cut. So see how they've cut a little wave into that, which is going to actually act as a lock bar stabilizer. Very, very cool. On the inside, of course, it is a stainless steel lock bar insert with an over travel stop. So that's well done as well. The one thing I do have questions about is the, let's see if I can get it on camera there. There you go. See the lanyard spacer there? It's essentially a little spacer with a hole through it. That's going to be quite small. Maybe you'd get bank line through there, but not much else. Now, I suppose it's possible, and I haven't tried this, and in fact, I don't plan to. You might be able to put paracord around that rather than through it and make it work that way. Spring clip does work really nicely. I've had it in and out of pocket a few times. So overall, very, very impressed with this knife. Now, one thing I will say that's cool is it's going to come with a certificate of authenticity that gives you the date of it being sort of finished off, the designer and blade finish and stuff like that. So really nice touch there on RealSteel's part. The other thing that's cool is the standard model RealSteels are coming with a little card like this that kind of gives you a description and the specs on your knife, which I do like. So now that I've shown you that, excuse me, let me pull in the G10 version here, and on the G10 model we've got 14C28N steel. The blade grind is actually a little different. Notice very closely there how this is a more angular blade grind. Let me kind of pull these up here for you. There you go. See how you can see the difference in the blade, in the plunge grind there, which is kind of interesting. Not sure exactly why that is, other than maybe they must have been ground with two different processes, possibly because of the different steel. By the way, 14C28N is an awesome, awesome steel. This is, of course, a stainless steel liner lock, and you can see that the liners are milled out there. There is sort of a relief cut out of the G10 here to allow for that liner to be moved out of the way. One other thing I noticed here is there's a little sliding lock, which generally speaking I'm not a fan of, but at least they've done it in such a way that it's fairly unobtrusive. So you really, you know, you're not going to notice that, or you're not going to, it's not in the way if you don't want to use it. Similar pocket clip, although I will say now, you know, I'm almost tempted to put this clip on that because I think the satin finish would kind of match up with the blade a little nicer. Anyway, I'm not going to rush and do that, but if I do, I'll kind of update you. Action is very good on this, not quite as good, of course, as the other, and the detent is not quite as strong on this one as it is on this one. The detent here is definitely pretty stiff and really lets that blade fly out with some authority. Again, similar standoff construction and blade stop, so those things are pretty well the same. The other point that I should add here is the G10 version is a little thicker. Let me show you these side by side. So you can see there's probably at least a 1/16 of an inch or maybe a little more difference in thickness, and there's also a difference in weight. This is a few fractions of an ounce heavier than the other. Both are under 5 ounces though, which is great for their size. So there you go, guys. Initial take on this is very, very good. A lot of really impressive features. If you like this video, go ahead and subscribe for more just like it. We'll talk to you soon.